Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Hello, welcome back with me. So first, I want to introduce about myself. My name is Ocviona and anyone can call my name is Ovi. Now I will to explain about the environmental chemist assessment. With the topic is sampling and preservation strategies. So let's get started. Okay, the first, what is the sampling representative? Sampling is collecting an accurate volume of water in a small amount, but is representative or can represent all of it. If the water sample to be analyzed is a water sample whose characteristics have been changed from the original characteristic, the water body, then when analysis in the laboratory, the data obtained is that not the same as the quality for the water body, so that the data obtained is not representative. It will lead to errors in making conclusion about the quality of the water body, which in turn will lead to the errors further, namely mistakes in taking policies that will apply in the context of water quality management, and the purpose of the objective of water sampling is to the collective volume of water and the quality of the water body to be investigated with the smallest possible volume, but the characteristic and composition are still the same as the characteristic of the bodies of water. Sampling is divided into three steps. The first is representative sampling, and the second is transfer and preservation of sample, and the third is chemical analysis of samples of physical and chemical parameters. So it's to be explained in the next slide. Preparation of samplings and preservation. How to the step of the preparing the sample and procedure. The first is prepare of the sample content, and next rinse the sampling tool as to plain. With the plain go is with the sea water and the river water and edge. And the next rinse the sampling device with the sample, and then rinse the sample container with the distilled water as a plain for the container, and then the samples and put them in a suitable container, adding the preservative, and then use the labeling for the another sample, and then securing the sample and these containers. Next, measuring fields parameters and recording field condition and create a location map for the sample. So, how to the sampling representative? We know that the sample representative can be origin or not origin. So, how to transportation about this for the nature place? And taking gas to the laboratory. A common way of the preserving samples is in a cold atmosphere transport in an isothermic box containing ordinary or dry ice or originally ice. Next, disturbance arising during storage and transportation. Yes, if the sampling taking about for the origin place and goes to the library or edge, it can be disturbing, and we can know how to be covered with a sample for the transportation. The first disturbing about the gas O2 or CO2. The presence of O2 or CO2 gas can oxidate or affect the original nature of the sample of origin. For that, she can use a rubber cover on the container if it has been taken from the original place. And secondly, suspension of substance. Suspension material may affect the authenticity of the sample because no substance or other substance are not actually applied in the sample water. This can harm the original purpose of sample taking. The next part about the topic is contamination and water loss analysis. Contamination is defined as the entry of unwanted compounds into the sample during the initial to final treatment process. Source of sample contamination: the first is atmospheric particulate trace element, and the second is equipment, and the thirdly operator or analysis. First, the atmospheric particulate trace element. The originally mainly from the particulate trace element on the soil surface and suspended material in the atmosphere. The simplest way to avoid atmospheric contamination of samples is to cover the sample solution during preparation and analysis. Secondly, for the equipment. Glass in analytical chemistry means borosilicate glass such as Pyrex and Jena. Unless otherwise specified, contamination of sample from glass is usually caused by attack or the dissolution of the container by the Pyrex or Jena solution, which are resistant to weak acid and base, but are less resistant to strong acid and strong base. For the analysis of Cp, aluminium, natrium, and kalium, salt not use Pyrex bottle, and the last part is operator or an analysis. Analysis can be source contamination to be samples to be analyzed either through direct contact with the operator or through the air. Human skin is reported to contain the following metals like Bi and then CO, and then the Ag, and then the ferric, and then the zinc, then the natrium, chloride, and etching. It can be transferred to the sample through the operator is breathed, dust, and cigarette smoke. So the search of the metal contaminants, talc, plaster, lotion, and perfumes. Source of contamination include the clothing and operator search. And then for the mixed gloves and polyethylene or PVC are usually worn to reduce contamination by operator. Other treatment that allow contamination with low metals is the first is silicates or fluids, and the secondly is plastic, polyethylene, or propylene, and the third is Teflon or the tetrafluoroethylene, and the fourth is PVC or polyvinyl chloride from fibers in latex, and the last is the filter paper. To reduce metal contamination in water, it is necessary to pass it through the anion exchange resin pool by distillation at the last 2 times. We can end the last part with the reagent contamination. It is the important part because if we take the sample, we don't need the reagent is contamination with another compounds. Reagent contamination is split into 4. The first is mineral acid and ammonia. Most mineral acid contain a certain amount of different metals into it. It's the pure acid and ultra pure analytical reagent bring acid ammonia solution in water placed in a glass bottle will be contaminated by silica, aluminum, calcium, and other elements caused by a glass container. And the secondly is inorganic solids. Inequality of their liquids is usually pure enough to be used directly without initial administration, but a plain solution as a control must still be prepared. Next, The third is organic organic mix. It usually contains a pot-metal coordination delivered from the solvent or reagents used in the synthesis of the ligand. What is the ligand? Ligand is a neutral ion or molecule that is able to coordinately bind to a central metal atom or ion in a complex compound. In the last part, the fourth is solvent reagent. In the metal content, the solvent is usually relatively low, but care must be taken for the presence of other organic compounds dissolved in the solvent because it can interfere with the spectrometric determination. So, the analysis loss control process is divided into several stages. The first is preparation, and the second is separation, and the third is determination. Analysis loss spectrometry is for utilization, absorption, and co-precipitation or precipitating. Okay, thanks for attention. I say sorry if I have the mistake on this as long as this video take it, because I will just we can learn together with my language or my material in this part. And last part, I say thank you. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.